All right, guys, Nolan Walker here with Plumbing Webmasters. Today's topic is going to be plumbing leads, sales, and profits with Nolan Walker. So I'm going to do this podcast by myself. I want to share with you some personal experiences and me working with companies for years at this point, and some things that I think are going to be vital for you to be able to succeed in your business. So if you're starting out or you're not making the kind of profits that you want, this one's for you, which is going to be almost everybody. I mean, very few people achieve the level of success that they want. So let's go over some things that could be a problem. And these are going to be some real basic things, but very important things. I'm going to talk about the flow of a lead, how you get a lead in the first place, what happens during that lead. Is it going to convert to an appointment, an estimate, and ultimately a sale? And then the service that occurs, the expenses that occur in your business, and whether or not you're going to make a profit, and then invest that money and so that you can have the best life possible. So let's talk about it. So first off, I want to say, I started out painting curbs, mowing lawns. I lived at home. I didn't have any expenses. I made a lot of money. I put a bunch of money in a little tin can shoebox with a code on it. It saved all my money in this little tiny safe till I bought a truck. Bought a truck with cash. I went and mowed lawns. I made even more money. I didn't owe much. I had some pretty expensive insurance at 16 years old, but I didn't have much expenses. But it was also rough, right? It was just me rolling. So you want to have some infrastructure. As time goes on, not to get in the weeds of the story here, I had dozens and dozens of people working for me. I had a home security company one time, had 40 people working for me, made no money, like going broke. Too much expenses. And delegating everything out, man, that's what I heard I was supposed to do, right? Delegate, delegate, delegate. That's what owners do. Not really, not entirely. In fact, you'll find some of the most successful people there are that we can watch online, billionaires, and they're very vocal and they work all the time, right? They're watching their marketing, they're watching their business. They may not perform every function that there is. Bezos is not sitting there taking your Amazon order. You're not talking to Elon Musk on the phone to buy your Tesla, but they're involved in their businesses on things that they do well, and they obviously watch the processes and have other things in place. Yours is going to be different as a plumber, but the point is made, right? They're involved. So you can get out of control and get your expenses out of control and mess everything up. But let's start with the lead. So the lead comes in by branding and marketing. The lead's important. Have you paid too much for the lead? Is it too hard to convert the lead? If you brand a company digitally, which we help you with, and I'm not here to talk just about that, but if you're branded online, your company's recognized through Google, 70% plus of the leads that come through are non-paid items or organic or mapping or reviews, stuff you don't pay for the click. It's a great conversion. It's a great return on investment, and the lead can be cheap. So you need a cheap lead. Cheap leads are very important, but you fight for them by creating a brand. So you've solved this problem. So this is the first step, really, is to get a lead, build a brand, have it be a great return on investment. It's only a great return on investment, guys, if you can convert it to a sale. So this is vital in this category of plumbing. If somebody answers the phone and they're burning up your leads, doesn't matter how many leads you have, you can go broke real quick. I've literally listened to phone calls to plumbers. A guy was getting phone calls for water heaters, and this individual was taking these calls and blowing out every single water heater call. And I know they're paying a fortune in paid ads and all this to get these leads. Horrible to listen to these phone calls, absolutely horrible. So, that guy's not in that handles that. He's not. The guy was never in. He's not here. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you about your water heater question. Call back later. Whoop, lead gone. I mean, horrible. Would have felt like kicking this lady out the door personally. It wasn't my business. So if you're going to have somebody answer your phone, you watch them like a hawk, and you have to follow up. You have to have some procedures. You have to have accountability. So you're going to have to call track. You have to call track if you're going to have somebody answer your phones for you. And every so often you listen to those phone calls. You have to be able to do this. You have to be able to monitor phone calls once a week. If somebody's messing up your leads every day for a little while, if they're messing up all your leads and they won't listen, you fire them, you get somebody else. The people listening, taking the phone calls is vital. If you've got emails coming in, check your emails once a month at least, and check your phone numbers to make sure everything's working. Dial the phone number, send out an email. Make sure these things are working. You paid a lot to get your leads. Hopefully you're branded so it's a great return on investment, meaning a cheap lead. And then when they come in, don't let somebody break the cycle right here. This is so common. Do not tell me that your person's perfect and you never check them. You don't know. If they're not family that has a vested interest, even if they are family that you think has a vested interest, if it's a spouse, they're probably vested interest. Kid may not know how hard you worked. So you'd better be listening to your leads. You'd better be checking them. You'd better be checking these people. I do this stuff to this day because of how many times it's happened to me, much less other people I've watched. So this isn't stuff I'm pointing and saying you ought to do. I do this perfect. This has all happened to me over and over again. And until this cycle that we're talking about gets correct, you don't make any money. And you don't make as much money. You make very little money compared to what you could have made. So as that lead comes in, you better make sure it's being taken care of, it's converted well, set up for appointments. You obviously don't answer phone questions over the phone. You send the technician out. Hey, we got a free service call. Or we got $39 service call or $89 service call. No big deal. It ought to be fine, and that's included in the service if you have us do the job. Whatever it is, you're obviously going to try to get your foot in the door and get out to the job. If you have to answer a question, but you better be converting appointments. So it's vital. I'll go into the next topic here, but if people are answering the phone, you better have some procedure. You better know how many appointments they're getting the foot in the door in, how many they're blowing out, because you may not want that person answering the phone, and you better check it to make sure they're not just being really nasty. All right, so call comes in, you got an appointment. So now you have the conversion to a sale. There's a lot of software to help you guys with this, obviously. And this has helped greatly nowadays. If you're the type of company that does a commission-based plumbing job, they're incentivized. So you're going to sell more of them that way. If you're not, you've got to watch your conversion anyway. Make sure that whoever shows up isn't blowing out jobs. You can have somebody answering the phone, kill everything. They don't need to be answering the phone. You can have somebody that goes out that's a plumber, man, they're dropping half of them. So you're going to watch this stuff all the way through. The next category, once you get a lead and you get a sale, that's the biggest thing that needs to be done. Everything else that happens, the service and everything else, you now have resources to buy that, to set procedures. You have infrastructure. You'll gain experience. That can be done. But the expenses can kill everything. So don't listen to people. Do what you think needs to be done. You don't have to go buy everything for everybody. You don't have to have the best looking office. You don't have to have 5 people in the office. You don't have to have wrapped trucks if you don't want it. You can sub out some of this. Check with your taxing authorities. Can you sub this person? Do they have to be employed? I don't know. I'm not offering that advice to you. I'm just trying to tell you the most inexpensive way to get the job done. Do you do commission-based plumbing? Do you hire the person? Are they a subcontractor? Are they hired? Are they in your truck, in their own truck? Did you wrap the truck? It's a lot of things to consider. Hired and non-owned auto. So your expenses in this category can kill everything, and little things like having 2 extra people in the office that you don't need. You might have an incredibly inefficient office structure that has tons of people in it. I can tell you that one from experience. I've had an office with 5 people in it, didn't need to be there. One person gets hired, another person gets hired, another person gets hired, somebody gets hired to hire them who didn't need to be hired in the first place, another sub-tier management to watch over the rest of them. You end up with 4 or 5 people you don't need. They blow out $250,000 a year worth of profits right there. Maybe $500,000 or more, and put you in the red because they're blowing out all your calls or doing something else or other inefficiencies. So Expenses must be watched. You're going to watch expenses, in my opinion, by doing what you do best and then watching over your shoulder on other things. So you don't let people just go. And if you need somebody for a certain position, you don't let it just go. You watch it. If you need somebody to handle certain things, but watch these things. Be involved a little bit. You can't shirk all things off. And you cannot have a business without watching all categories a little bit. Going to be necessary for you to do so. If you're a plumber by trade and you want to be out in the field, I think that's good. I don't have a problem with that. But leave enough time to come check who's answering the phones and some of these other processes. Make sure your marketing's working, paying proper respect to things, and making sure expenses aren't. You don't have to be some accountant to check expenses. You know whether you got people hired. You know whether you need to go buy that truck or don't. You know whether or not you're over bloated in certain areas, or if you're not watching stuff. You already know these things. You may not know how critical it is to your bottom line, and it's best for you to do it right now. I still do this to this day. I'll look up and haven't checked things for 90 days in a certain category. I'm like, I better go look at that. I'd better go pay my bills this month and check all the debits and credits on that account right now. I mean, you'll end up paying something for 1 year that you didn't even use, much less somebody blowing out leads and killing your whole company, or completely ignoring your marketing and your branding and doing. I mean, nowadays you got to be involved in making sure you're getting reviews on your Google account or using data pins with us, or you got to be involved a little bit, or these things are going to fall apart. But if you get all these things right, if you do these things properly, then you make a great profit. But what are you going to do with a great profit? Well, I hope you don't increase your quality of living immediately, because then it just is a beast you have to feed, and you're not getting closer to retirement or having a better lifestyle. I like the Robert Kiyosaki method, to where your passive income is more than your expenditures going out, and then you're out of the rat race. I love Robert Kiyosaki. It's simple, but it's true, and nobody does it. So if you want an F-250 or a boat or a bigger house or a lake house, go buy the investment first and let the investment pay for that. So, for example, buy a duplex or a condo that you Airbnb, or get an investment account where you have some stocks or mutual funds or something. But do something to where you're investing some of this money, because if you just make a profit and you don't invest it, it's a vicious cycle and it becomes drudgery. And without some sort of investment to where you feel better about yourself and have some hard assets and investments working, man, you're going to have a hard time wanting to get up in the morning to go do these things, to do this over and over again. It becomes some sort of drudgery, and that alone can rob yourself of the will to run your company properly to make a profit in the first place. I think one of the biggest mistakes that I made personally early on in life was setting out to do business. And I was first big business I did, or bigger business, where I ran a company. Because when I mowed lawns, I was a contractor. There's nothing wrong with someone who mows a lawn or turns a wrench for plumbing. I mowed lawns and painted curbs, and we need those people. But as I got older, I became a company, and I had some infrastructure. I think people misunderstand that and get too egotistical about it. Like, you run a company and you're the boss or the CEO or the president. It doesn't mean that you don't make a sale or turn a wrench. I emptied the trash today, and the toilet trash, my trash, and employees' desk trash and kitchen trash. It humbles me. I need to do that stuff from time to time. So you need to stay involved in your business, but you're not going to delegate every single thing out that there is. You just shouldn't. It's a bad move for you to delegate out every single thing you have. It won't work. It just flat out won't work properly. You're going to be involved in your business. You're not going to have a plumbing business with hard labor work, service business, and have it completely hands off. It just won't happen. You're going to have procedures, infrastructure in place. You're going to double check things at very least. I think it's great to go turn a wrench every once in a while so that nobody pull the wool over your eyes. You don't turn a wrench for 5, 10 years in a row. Can you imagine? You need to have proper empathy or harshness on those people working with you. Like, don't tell me. I know how long it takes to install a water heater. I don't want to hear it. So you need to be able to back up stuff like that while watching marketing, while watching expenses, while watching the lead and the sale and the conversion so that you can make a profit. So the biggest problem I had starting out, I didn't have an investment plan. I didn't know where I was going to invest. I ended up with a business coach later on who said, Nolen, anchor yourself to your dreams. And I started making investments around dreams that I had, and ended up buying real estate in a certain area. And it's very pleasing to me, and it makes me want to, I'm very pleased with what I've done, that I anchored to my dreams with hard assets that make money and around this dream. And it makes me want to wake up in the morning to make more money as a business owner. It motivates me. So I can guarantee you, if you don't invest your money, you'll get disillusioned, because you're just, at some point, you're not that company. It becomes a job again. So you've got to understand the difference between a contractor and a company. It doesn't mean a corporation from the state. And it's not just a state of mind. It is what you're doing. Are you really a company? And by the time you're a company and you figure some of this stuff out, you'll make maximum profits for whatever you're able to do. And if you invest that, you'll have a great life. So I will stop and tell you, there's nobody that beats us at what we do for plumbers. We are the best there is at design, code, content, helping people show up on Google Map rankings, reputation reviews, organic keyword rankings. 70+% of search on Google is non-paid items. This is where the best return on investment is. This is where the cheapest lead is that funnels this whole process that equals the dreams that you want. We even own a software company in a different LLC called Data Pens. We just do fantastic work and help people, and we're great at it. So I'd love to be a part of your business career. You owning a company, you being a company and running a structure. I know that we bring to the table the leads, the branding, someone deserving to show up online. I know that we bring that to the table. I want to talk to you about the rest of this, because this is what you've got to bring to the table. We bring the most important part at the top, but you've got to be able to process it all the way down to the investment part so that you can live the dreams you want. And I truly, at this point in my life, I didn't think about this stuff. It's taken a long time to be able to share something like this and with somebody. But I want you to reach this flow all the way through to where you're profiting and investing, and that you have the best life possible. I'm here to help you, and I hope that you enjoy something like that. These are some of the favorite podcasts that I do. This is as much as I can help you beyond the service that we do. I know that this is the key all the way through. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to hear from you, and I hope you the best success in the world. We'll see you.